So there were two things that I have to say I regret saying and that I have to take back.
What do you mean?
And I'm going to take them back here on the Come to Papa.
Right.
Is that the name of the show?
This is the Breaking Bread.
Oh, this is Breaking Bread.
Yeah.
Is that why we have the bread?
I have a lot of shows. Okay. Yes, normally I would have baked you bread.
Yeah.
If we were in L.A., I would have brought you bread, but I got you some croissants.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So here's two things I regret saying and I have to take back.
It's Breaking Bread. Hey, everybody. A quick reminder. My new Netflix special, Home Free, is dropping on October 29th. Tuesday, October 29th. My new Netflix special, Home Free. Very exciting. I hope you enjoy it. I recorded it in D.C., and I think it came out great. I looked pretty handsome, and that's more important than being funny, I think. Also, go to tompapa.com because all the tour dates that will be coming off of that will be posted. You guys are the best. Back to the show.
I was talking to, I worked with Chuck Martin this past weekend, and he was telling to me how he loves striding through airports. I go, that's why you've survived. I go, that has killed 90% of comedians.
It really is.
It
bizarre.
is, you know.
Yeah.
I like to talk about the toxic ecosystem of stand-up comedy. It's highly toxic. The attrition is dramatic and a huge percentage.
Yeah.
Do not survive.
Right.
One of the main things is you got to be a good traveler.
Yeah.
No problem.
I remember you saying that once, that you were talking about somebody, some comic, and they hadn't, they were really successful, but they hadn't been touring a lot. They were successful and then kind of went away from it. And I talked to them and they were saying the travel was killing them.
Yeah.
And I brought that up to you and you're like, yeah, you have to be okay with getting in that hotel and opening up that little bar of soap, taking the little paper off that soap. And that should, if that doesn't make you happy, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I think about that every time.
Yeah.
When I roll into like a Holiday Inn Express and you're like, shh, if you're okay with that. Or walking through the airport. When I hear I have a flight, I get excited.
Me too.
I get excited.
Me too.
Like I can't wait to get on the plane, open my laptop, and just have a couple moments, a couple hours.
The second I grab my luggage, the second my hand grips that handle in my closet,
yeah,
I'm a different human. I just completely shifted software.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything that happens from this moment,
Yeah.
I don't care. All I care about is the show. Everything in between me and the show,
Yeah,
I don't care.
yeah. It's the
Do whatever
best.
you want to me.
Right, exactly.
The show's postponed 3 hours. Fine.
I know.
I'll just sit here. I was telling Rob Prince about a gig Larry Miller and I used to do in the 70s called Hiccups in Ottawa, Canada. And Larry and I, we just loved recounting the story of this hotel.
Yeah.
Ottawa, as we know, in the winter is very cold.
Mm-hmm.
The hotel was called the East View. It was at the absolute bottom of the food chain.
Yeah.
The window in the hotel had a break in the glass about the size of a basketball, and it was stuffed with newspaper. And we both would get the same room. And we would sleep with our coat on. We would put our winter coat on and get in bed. The funniest part of the story to me is both of us, too stupid to go to the desk and go, could I have a room without a broken window?
Not an option.
In 0 degree Canada. Never crossed our mind. You don't have to tolerate this. The other thing that was amazing, the room, I would say the hotel room was maybe this size, or there was a TV in the room that they had mounted on a bracket on the ceiling in the corner. And the screen was about this big.
Like a hospital.
And and you would just sit there, and there was a bed and a chair. That was the only thing in the room. And you would just get out of bed, sit in the chair, turn on this TV, and watch it for 9 hours. And then go to your show. But the sleeping in the parka,
jacket.
we would sleep in the parka
Tell
in bed.
Remind me of the bucket of chicken. Wasn't there
That
early
was
days?
that was where did World War II begin? Charleston. The battle, I think, was
The Civil War?
the first Civil War began in Charleston, South Carolina.
Uh-huh.
That's what it was. And yeah, this is another good how dumb.
You were 12 years old.
Yeah. So I got a bucket of chicken at KFC at the beginning of the week.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is great. This is great chicken. I really like this.
It'll last the whole week.
And I just left it in the room, open, and ate it all week. I had no idea. You're not supposed to eat unrefrigerated chicken for a week.
Just so happy.
But if you wanted,
figured this out.
if you had to bet on chicken that could survive that, you would bet on KFC, right?
Yeah, I think probably 3 days you were good.
Yeah, whatever they do to it.
Yeah. Oh, it's so amazing.
And I
It's like-
actually had someone visit me in my room.
Yeah.
I actually had a date,
Uh-huh.
and she came to the room, and there was the chicken.
Filling up the room with aroma.
She did not ask, how long has that been there?
I have to go.
This is really, if we ever teach stand-up comedy, which we never will because it cannot be done,
Yeah.
this is the first day of class.
Yeah.
How does this sound to you?
Right.
Right? Does this sound like something you could deal with?
Right.
Put your hand up.
Yeah.
Everybody else, just leave now.
Yeah.
Right?
It is amazing to look back and tell the stories of what you did. Like if someone told me that I had my day was going to go to the comic strip, they're going to give you $8 to do a late night set. And you need that money. That's the only $8 you're going to have. But good news, you can get a bacon, egg, and cheese bagel for $5 in the morning and eat that until you go back and get another $8. If you told me I had to live like that now, I would just lie down on the floor and die. But listen to those stories. I was, I think, happier than I've ever been.
So what is that? You want to explain that to the listeners?
I
Because
think
people
you
are
found
listening to
something-
this show because they're interested in how comedians
I think
function.
I think we were so happy that
Mhm.
we had this idea that I might want to do that. I think I want to be a comedian. And then you got on stage and that it confirmed you found the thing. This is it. This is going to be as great as when you got that laugh
Right.
and you realize, holy cow, the thing I wanted, I was right. This is as great as I thought it was going to be.
Right.
That everything else just
But everybody else feels that same way about the laugh
in the beginning.
in the beginning. Everyone.
Yeah.
Nobody who's ever stepped on a stage to do a set, nobody that got a laugh
Yeah.
didn't think it was as great as you thought it was great.
Yeah.
But what's that other thing that you don't care what you have to go through to keep getting it? That's the delta.
Yeah. Maybe you just started getting more of them back to back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just fit you like a glove. I don't know. But I do know that the futon I was sleeping on, the roaches going through the front door when I walked, like I didn't even think that this was a problem
Right.
because I just,
But that's your nature.
I don't know.
I think your nature is you see life as a simple equation. I want this. It costs this.
Right.
I will pay it.
Right.
Period.
Hmm.
I was just as in the car down. I was with my daughter, and she's writing stuff.
Yeah.
And she's been talking with an agent, and he goes, he wants to see it. I go, yeah, he wants to give me notes about it. Yeah, everyone's going to give you notes. No one's going to be happy with anything you do.
Yeah.
Every agent, every executive is going to have complaints about everything you make.
Right.
She goes, well, that's intolerable. That's psychologically, how can you tolerate that? I go, what's on the other side of that? What do you get?
Yeah.
What do you get? I told her, you know what you get? You get the kingdom of heaven. That's what you get.
Yeah.
If you walk through hell,
Yeah.
you get to the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
So it's just very simple.
Yeah.
And I guess you would even call it
Yeah.
the marshmallow test, which everyone's familiar with that, I assume?
No.
The marshmallow test is a thing they would do with little kids. They put a marshmallow on the kid's desk, and they go, "I'll be back in 5 minutes. If you haven't eaten it, you get another one."
Right.
Most of them eat it,
Right.
and they don't get another one.
Uh-huh.
And so here's how I'm built. My birthday cake story. You know that one from when I was 5. Did I ever tell you that one?
No.
My mother made me a birthday cake when I was 5 years old, and I had a bunch of kids around, and I go, I want to have the whole cake.
Yeah.
Just me, the whole cake.
Yeah.
And she goes, "You can't have the whole cake because we're going to give everybody a piece." I go, "No, I want the whole thing." This sounds like a Donald Trump story. And she says, "You can either have a piece of cake or no cake." Oh, I go, "Oh, fine. I'll have nothing." And she said, and that's when she knew I was going to be very successful. I was totally comfortable with nothing.
Yeah. It's such a strange thing. I mean, but when you did your first set and started banging around and, knew nothing really about life,
Right.
you did know that that was it. You didn't think, well, I'll do this, but I could always go into accounting or I could do this or
Right.
right.
I thought, honestly, I'm not going to be very good at this.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, but I thought, even if I'm not good and I'm just make enough to just barely survive,
Right.
it'll be the greatest life imaginable.
Right.
That's how I went into it.
Yeah.
I really had no thought that I had any talent for this at all.
Really?
Yeah. A little. I thought I had a tiny,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit.
When did you start to feel like, no, I can do this?
The first set.
The first set.
Yeah.
But you thought, oh, what?
I thought if
Talented enough.
I didn't think strangers would even know what I was saying.
Right.
I never talked to strangers, a group of strangers.
Yeah.
Who does that? You know?
I think about that every once in a while on my way up to the stage. I just get hit with the reality of what this is. And I can't believe I take another step. The idea that I, for some reason, think I can walk up in front of all of these people and that what I have to say is funny and important enough that they have to listen to it. That I'm going to, that makes no sense.
You still feel that?
Every once in a while,
Wow.
I'm on my way up. I know I'm funny.
Yeah.
I know that, but just that this is a thing, that there are comedians, and that we, as a society, say, we're giving you the mic, and you get to talk.
Yeah, but first of all, I'm surprised to hear that you still feel that. But second of all, what about the culture now? From when you started, when I started way earlier than you, that they are desperate
Yeah.
for you. That's the weird part to me.
Right. Yeah.
That how bad that nowadays it's like they need us.
Yeah.
Like they never have before. We was like forced our way in.
Right.
That's what it was in the 70s.
Right. Yeah, it was like a little side hustle.
Oh yeah,
concept.
exactly.
There was all this other show business. Here's something I wanted to ask you, because you're very smart and you have a good understanding of the way the world works.
Oh, thank you.
I saw an Instagram post last night of a guy at Radford. He was at Radford, and he had done a show there years ago. He was a producer kind of kid.
Yeah.
Not one person in production. It was a ghost town. Radford is just nothing happening.
Oh, really?
Where you did Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Nothing happening. Studios empty, nobody working. And he goes, I've heard the rumors that things have been slow in LA. Holy cow.
Really?
Like tumbleweeds. Like you're going through, if you ever go past where Jay did the Tonight Show, that place is like Chernobyl. There's like nothing
Really?
happening. There's nothing going on there. It's like one executive just turning the lights on. What has happened? Is that part of show business? What's going on, Jerry?
It's a very easy answer to that, Tommy.
Thank God that's why you're here.
As you already know, show business, like the culture on which it is based,
Yeah.
is not a solid. It's a liquid.
Uh-huh.
And Liquids do not behave in organized fashion.
Uh-huh.
They move wherever they go. Why do rivers have these weird paths that they take? There was a rock. There was some loose soil. There was a building. It's just show business just moves. Really, it's not even really a liquid. It's an aerosol.
Uh-huh.
It's an aerosol, and the gas that just moves to wherever it can survive next.
Right.
That's what show business is. It's not a thing. It doesn't exist.
But we have shows, and people
If
want to see shows.
Okay, then that exists.
Right.
The second they don't want to see it, there's no show.
Right.
That show is gone.
Right.
And all the people involved with it are gone. Everyone's gone. Really fast.
Right.
The only good analogy I have that I think will make sense to people is the NFL. How long does it take when someone steps on the field as an NFL football player that doesn't belong on that field? How long can they last out there?
15 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's show business.
Right. But, I mean, people want to see stuff. Is it the model that's changed? Is there another river that's
there is no
going away from
model.
Bradford?
There's no model. Stop trying to make this a dependable thing.
Right.
What's the only thing that's dependable is there's people and there's artists and there's a medium between them.
Right.
Everything about those three things is going to change every day.
Right. Right.
But talent is an actual substance.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, it is not reproducible.
Right.
It exists like a dandelion breaking through a sidewalk.
Yeah.
How did that dandelion get through that concrete sidewalk? There's a crack.
Yeah.
How did it do that? That's talent.
Right.
We can't make that.
Yeah.
We can't plant dandelions under sidewalks that will break through.
Right.
They just do.
Yeah. Back to things you think about on your way to the stage. There are these different moments in your performance that you all of a sudden you're thinking about that now. You know, you're like, there's this, I'm going through a period where I can't believe that the playing around with pauses, like I thought going slower was always beneficial, but now to really land on a joke and let them, I'm always motoring.
Yeah.
And to really let them digest that idea helps the joke so much more than me trying to just keep talking about the idea. Just to let them, 30 years in, I'm still thinking of new ways of how to communicate and do all of this. Is there anything on your mind now with your set at this moment that you're kind of playing around with? Your material or your speed or your... And even as basic as being loud or not loud, or what's on your mind when you hit this stage now? And how many years is this?
Next fall, I'm going to be celebrating my 50th year as a stand-up comic.
You know the date?
No, I don't know when it was a Catch a Rising Star. It was in the fall of 75 that I stood online for the open mic audition night. And I got number 1. I was the first person online. And I went on stage and I did about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Couldn't remember anything that I was going to do. I had no idea that you have to memorize this stuff quite well to do it. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I kind of looked over and I thought, I'll remember it. And I walked out. I couldn't remember anything.
Yeah.
I totally froze. And they laughed a little bit. And that was it. I was done. And then I went home and I wrote a whole new 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I went on stage a couple months after that, and I realized I have to memorize this cold to do it.
Right.
And that set I did at a place called the Golden Lion Pub on West 44th Street. Got through the whole set, and a lot of stuff worked really well.
Yeah.
And that's when it was like, okay.
Lock.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking about now when you're out there?
Wow, that's a good question. My biggest... issue that I have now, it's not an issue, is I can't figure out how to tell the audience I'm 70 because I know it upsets them. And you remember I used to do that bit about being in my 60s, that I'm not going to turn around anymore. Do you remember that bit?
Yeah.
I don't want to turn around.
Not even turning around.
Yeah. I'll see it on the way back, or I won't see it, or I'll Google it. Or I can't wait for my 70s. I'm not even going to answer. And it was just like, you just do hey, Jerry, check it out. So me being 70, it's depressing to the audience. It doesn't depress me. I could care less.
Yeah.
I have no interest in age. Live, die, I don't care.
Right.
But I know it's upsetting to them.
Right.
I have this really a bit that I love doing about cemeteries. That it's the only thing that has not expanded like everything else has. We have to make the highways wider. We have to redo LaGuardia. We have to make taller offices. How come that place doesn't need to be bigger? If it holds people, can't get in the restaurant. Flights booked, concerts sold out. Cemetery, we got a slot. They never say, yeah, no. And they have everyone that has ever lived in that city. They're going to hold everyone that's there now and theoretically everyone in the future, and they have no problem.
Yeah.
They never expand. So I love the bit. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things no one has thought about, and they have no answer for what I'm posing to them. Explain to me how they're doing this.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. You don't know. Anyway, my point is, to me, it's just funny. It's really a physics bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Not to the audience.
The whole bit, which works really well, but I am fighting against their depression at me even mentioning cemetery.
Yeah.
You feel the whole room drop.
Yeah, I know. I played around with something cemetery years ago, and I quickly ran away because I'm like, these people are bummed out.
Yeah, bums them out.
They don't like hearing this.
Yeah.
It's interesting, if I may make an observation, and I think it kind of harkens to how you work. My question was like, what are you thinking about your performance of it when you're on the way up there? And it kind of stopped you a little bit. I think it's because you're thinking about the bits more than you are about the thing.
Absolutely.
I think you think so much about the words,
right,
that your instrument's going to do what it's going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think about anything. Yeah, but the bit.
Because you have this uncanny ability also to remember every line. And I saw you on Eisen and even going over lines from the show. You have this crazy ability to remember word for word those lines. Even when Eisen would paraphrase the joke, you're like, That is remarkable. Not a lot of human beings can do that.
Really?
And definitely not comedians.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. People yell stuff out at my shows. Do the na-na-na. Like, what? I have a vague idea, like those dreams when you're kind of spitting out your act, but it's not. You really, that is a unique Jerry Seinfeld thing.
Oh, wow. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So that you're absolutely right. That's all I think about is I want to do these three bits. What are the words? What are the lines?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When
you talk about the audience getting uncomfortable about the cemetery and stuff, you made a lot of news about a little while back talking about what you can say and can't say.
Yes.
In comedy.
Yes.
And there was like a big discussion, about it. Sinatra's talking about songwriting right now. So people were like, what do you mean you can't say stuff and you should say stuff, which is kind of in the ether of stand-up comedy recently.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think people got right or got wrong about what you were saying then?
Well, here's the thing that I got wrong is I didn't know. This was all press I was doing for Unfrosted. I did a bunch of it, and I enjoyed all of it. I did not know that people care what comedians say, that literally came as news to me. Who the hell cares what a comedian thinks about anything? And so
Yeah.
the fun thing about being a comedian, I thought, say whatever the hell you want.
Right.
No one's listening.
No one's
No one
listening,
cares.
Right.
And if it gets a laugh, you get to do another set tomorrow night.
Right.
So I did an interview. So there were two things that I have to say I regret saying and that I have to take back.
What do you mean?
And I'm going to take them back here on the Come to Papa.
Right.
Is that the name of the show?
This is the Breaking Bread.
Oh, this is Breaking Bread.
Yeah.
Is that why we
I
have the bread?
I have a lot of shows. Yes, normally I would have baked you bread.
Yeah.
If we were in LA,
Oh,
I would have brought you bread, but I got you some croissants.
thank you.
You're welcome.
So here's two things I regret saying and I have to take back.
Okay.
Number one of them I didn't say, but people think I did, so it's just the same. I said I don't play colleges because the kids are too PC and you can't do comedy for them.
Right.
Not true. First of all, I never said it, but if you think I said it, it's not true. I play colleges all the time.
Right.
I have no problem with kids
Yeah.
performing for them. In fact, I was just at the University of Indiana, Kentucky. We did UT. I mean, I do colleges all the time. So that perception that I don't play colleges, wrong. I do. I play them all the time, and it's not a problem. The other thing, I did an interview with the New Yorker, and I said that the extreme left has suppressed the art of comedy. I did say that.
Yeah.
That's not true. It's not true.
No?
No. Again, you want to go back? Let's go back to our solid liquid analogy.
Okay.
And the other thing that I have said about this, if you're Lindsey Vonn, if you're a champion skier, you can put the gates anywhere you want on the mountain. She's going to make the gate.
Right.
That's comedy. Whatever the culture is, we make the gate. You don't make the gate, you're out of the game. The game is, where is the gate? How do I make the gate and get down the hill in the way I want to? So does culture change? And are there things I used to say that I can't say, that everybody's always moving? Yeah, but that's the biggest, easiest target. You know, you can't say certain words,
Right.
you know, whatever they are,
Yeah.
versus about groups. So what? The accuracy of your observation has to be 100 times finer than that to just be a comedian, to just understand. I do this bit now about your kitchen sponge, that it looks up at you at a certain point and goes, really? More? Yesterday was not my last day? So that I perceive that people see that the sponge has gone beyond what I thought I was going to have to do here. I thought I'd be here a few weeks, but this is ridiculous.
I'm still working.
Yeah. So that's how fine your perception of other people's thinking
Right.
has to be.
Right.
So these larger cultural themes
Yeah.
of this is not considered acceptable, this is not acceptable.
Yeah.
So I don't think as I said, the extreme left has done anything to inhibit the art of comedy.
Right.
I'm taking that back now officially.
Gotcha.
They have not.
Right.
Do you like it? Maybe, maybe not. It's not my business to like or not like where the culture is at.
Yeah.
It's my business to make the gate.
Right.
To stay with my skiing analogy. You make the gate or you're out.
Right.
So
I mean, when you said it, it was, I remember people saying, well, you're not the type of comic that's pressing these buttons and trying to talk about these things anyway.
No.
You're talking about the sponges and stuff, but you were kind of looking at the landscape of what other comedians, there are a lot of comedians that were pressing these buttons.
That's right.
And a lot of pushback, and all that kind of stuff. It feels like a lot of people, there were two camps really. There were comics that were saying, yeah, you can't say certain things now, and good, why do you want to? You
Right.
know? And then there was others that were saying, I'm saying whatever I'm going to say and you can't stop me. And, and it actually started to seem kind of ugly.
Really?
Yeah, just because the things do change. Musical tastes change.
Mm-hmm.
Young people come up and they don't like the songs that you listened to before,
Right. Mm-hmm.
or watching the movies, and they kind of culturally change.
Mm-hmm.
It is refreshing to hear you say, that's not our business, really.
No. Your only business is, do you want to play? Do you want to play this game?
Yeah.
Here's how it's played.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like we were talking about earlier about the travel thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't like going to airports and changing planes. Well, then get out.
Right.
Get out.
Well, you can't be
There's a guy behind you who wants in, and you're holding him up.
Right.
And he doesn't care about the planes and the hotels.
Yeah.
And standing next to the fryer,
Right.
waiting to go on. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
she. So, yeah. But how often do you say things? I mean, how many conversations have we had? Well, I'll say something to you. I'll make a pronouncement. And then the next day I go, you know what? I wasn't right.
Right.
We just like talking. I didn't know people were paying attention or cared.
Yeah.
Honestly, the thing I really came to was comedy is hard. Big, giant period.
Yeah.
Comedy is hard. You want to make a fabulous living making people giggle? That sure sounds great.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot.
It is an interesting moment, or it was. It kind of feels like it's kind of ebbed. It felt like when you were saying people don't really pay attention to comedians. That was the thinking was, who's paying attention to us anyway?
Right.
And all of a sudden, people were. It was like people who weren't attracted to comedy were jumping over the walls of the comedy island and looking at what we were doing and going back and making declarations like, do you hear what these guys are saying over here?
Yeah.
Like, there was this moment, and I think it seems like it's ebbed a little bit. But people who had no interest in comedy, no sense of humor, were kind of showing up and saying, have you seen what these people are talking about?
Really?
Yeah, that's what it felt like to me. It was like people, it wasn't people who love comedy or get that this is a joke. It was a lot of people who didn't get that this is a joke and were making a lot of noise about it. And other people were perking up and going, oh, well, they shouldn't be saying that.
Yeah.
And now it kind of seems to have settled back to, no, they're clowns and they're telling jokes.
Right. Right.
Do you think it's a lack of adults in the culture? This is why people started paying attention to, like, when we were kids, or just throughout media, there was Walter Cronkite's and Tom Brokaw's, and there were these.
Oh, if that's what you call adults.
Well, the perceived thing of, like, there was, like, news people, and then there was Don Rickles.
I call.
You know what I mean?
I called it hierarchy. That was another thing I said, that I missed dominant. Whatever it was. What was it? Dominant. I missed dominant masculinity. Which is probably not the greatest phrase for. What I was really saying was I miss big personalities.
Right.
That's what I missed.
Yeah.
And I mentioned Muhammad Ali and Sean Connery and Howard Cosell.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Because these were all the people I wanted to be like as a kid.
Yeah.
I wanted to have that kind of authority and
right.
style.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a style thing.
Yeah.
Everyone conforms more to not offend.
Right.
I miss George C. Scott. I miss these gigantic personalities. And just because I thought it was a great flavor in my youth.
Right.
And I couldn't and that made a headline the next day.
Right.
That I was calling for toxic masculinity to come back, which obviously, yeah, we don't need the toxic part.
Yeah,
but the big personalities are fun,
and they don't all have to be dudes. No, I thought that too.
Right,
I heard somebody say something about. I think they were talking about Famous Amos, or somebody, and they said he was a great national character.
Right.
I love that phrase because people bubble up, and it's not just comedy; it's sports, it's cooking, it's whatever. and they become a character for America.
Right.
And we just love watching Snoop.
Yes.
We love watching Martha Stewart. You just like they're national characters.
Right.
They're doing what they do, and they're fun to watch and observe and have them be a part of our ongoing cultural show.
Exactly. And if you wanted to explain the American political climate right now, there's the best explanation you could come up with.
Yeah.
Is that.
Yeah.
We like characters.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Are you going to buy the Trump watch?
I like it. What was it? $795 and $3,000? Are those the two?
$100,000.
Oh, $100,000.
$100,000 for the watch.
But there's another one, $795, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a Mickey Mouse one.
Man, talk about a character. I mean, coins, trading cards.
Greatest impressionist industry candidate ever spawned.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Oh, God.
Who could even compete
Yeah.
as a fun president to imitate?
Yeah.
I was just watching him talk this morning with somebody,
Uh-huh.
and we just listened to about 30 seconds of it, and we were just pounding, laughing so hard.
I always said he's like a comedian from Long Island, like a big shock comic from Long Island. Those guys that just went out and banged it out.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he really is.
See, of course, Queens is Long Island.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just has that thing.
Yeah, that's that
That
thing.
big insulting,
Yeah.
loud comic.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Too much. How is your acting right now? So you and Jim just announced a bunch of dates.
Yes.
Doing these
And,
arenas.
and Tom Papa will be on some of these dates as well.
Very exciting.
Do you know the towns?
Yeah, I think I'm doing Montreal and Toronto, maybe, and
Yeah.
Ottawa, maybe.
Yeah.
And then San
Diego, Charlotte?
Arizona, Phoenix.
Oh, Phoenix.
Yeah.
Great.
There was a bunch in the middle I couldn't do because I'm out doing it in other places. But
Right.
I'm so happy. I mean, we worked together for a long time.
Yeah.
And I always remember we were outside your apartment getting in the car, and you go, I feel really bad for you. And we're going off to do this amazing show somewhere. And you go, I feel really bad for you. In order for you to go on with your career, you're going to have to take worse and worse gigs than what we're about to do right now. And it was true. Like at a certain point, it was like, I can just keep going with Jerry, or I can go and do other shit to try and make my way.
So fun.
But I really miss the friendship and the camaraderie of
Me
going out
too.
and doing the weekends.
Me too.
And that you guys now are playing the biggest places on the planet.
Yeah.
And that we get to go hang and do these shows.
Yeah.
Makes me so happy.
Oh, I'm so glad. Me too.
So happy.
I miss, and you'll remember this moment, I would send my car to pick you up.
Yeah.
You would be sitting in front of my building, and I would pull open the door and stick my head on and go, who wants to go to Comedy Town? And you would go, I do.
Oh, it's the best gigs in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, we would fly off and go do like 2 shows in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then fly back. And I would be home in my apartment on 21st Street before my friends that were working at the Cellar. Like,
Wow.
we would do all of that. And it was so fine-tuned and the best way you could travel. And I would be home in my apartment doing the greatest gigs. And everyone's so happy. And before my friends were like even off the train
That's funny.
going back.
Well, the way comedians do gigs is a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody really does it their own way.
Yeah.
Because the first time I did a gig with Gaffigan, you know, you want to be a good friend and get along. And
Yeah.
I go, whatever you want to do, Jim, you know, whatever your routine is, I'll do yours. And he tried to do mine. Can't really do either one.
No.
His thing was after the show, we go get a giant steak. So there I am, sawing into a ribeye at 11:30, going, I don't want to be doing this.
It's a horrible way to live.
Yeah, and then the next morning, oh my God, the recovery.
Yeah, no way. No way.
But our thing is, you will find zero adjustments to the gig that you used to do. This will be
Really?
different with Jim. We'll do it a little different.
Yeah.
But
like,
maybe we'll do the same thing if Jim likes to stay in his room and work on his stuff during the day. You remember we would have our
breakfast at 9.
movie.
Breakfast at 9 for comedians.
Breakfast at 9.
Yeah, breakfast at 9, which 98% of comedians would not be okay with.
Right.
And then go off, see a movie.
Yeah.
Eat lunch, go for a walk.
Yeah.
You get the room from like 4 to showtime.
Right.
Yeah. Like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember when you gave me this CD? It was an interview, I think an NPR interview maybe, with George Burns.
Yes.
Remember that?
Sure do.
And
Moscow, Idaho was the town they were playing.
Right. See, this is the Jerry brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just have it in America.
Yeah. Well, that's it's a weird place.
Yeah. And she followed
Yes.
George in his opening act maybe and his
No,
manager.
His manager. Irving Fine.
And she was...
Who was Benny's manager.
Oh, really?
Then he passed, and then they started working together.
Oh.
Yeah.
And she was talking about how it's exactly the same every day, what the routine
Right.
and the act,
Right.
but that George and the manager would talk about the differences of what they ate or that one line in the show.
Yeah.
And to them, it was brand new territory for the performer. It was brand new territory. And she, from the outside, was like, nothing has changed.
Right.
And that really resonates to this day with me. One new line in your act, you're 12 years old.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Right, yeah.
One new thing to eat on the road that you and your buddy enjoy. It's a new vacation.
Yeah. Chuck Martin, I have this bit about I get everything I know about my marriage and what's happening in my family by listening when I hear my wife on the phone. That's how I get information.
Yeah.
I don't ask her anything.
Right.
And that when I hear her on the phone, I'm like a deer in the woods drinking from a stream that hears a twig snap. But I didn't have the deer's reaction.
Right.
I had a few different ones that I was trying, and I didn't feel like I had the one.
Uh-huh.
And Chuck, the great thing about working with Chuck is he watches your set and he gives you notes. And he said the way a deer does it is he picks his head up once and then turns it. And I went, oh, it is? He goes, yeah, that's what a deer does. I go, oh, okay. So I tried it, and of course it got a great laugh, and I went, oh my God, and I'm so excited I know how to be a deer now. I've been doing this bit for like a year, but I don't know really what a deer does when it hears the twig snap.
Yeah. And that's such a small, it's like you're not even using words.
Right.
And you can live off that for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Every time you go do that bit, you're like excited.
And the other thing that will happen, as you also know, is every time you do it, Chuck's face will pop into a little bubble in the screen.
That's right.
A little FaceTime cube of Chuck's face.
Yeah.
That was mine. I will see Chuck's face every time.
Thank you, Chuck.
How great is that? I mean,
Yeah.
I was trying to explain to somebody when comedians watch other comedians, what we get.
Yeah.
You see all these things.
I know.
No, you got to change this. Why aren't you doing that? Do this.
Yeah.
And then you see mine, and it's the same.
Yeah.
And that's how fascinating way the comedy works like that. I've gotten the greatest things I've ever had from comics.
Yeah.
Just watching you and going, why don't you do this line? Or why don't you explain? I remember Jim Gaffigan telling me about, I had something and I mentioned the portable Portisan toilet. He goes, why don't you explore that? I went, oh, yeah, I never... Yes, I got to talk about what it's like to use one of those toilets.
Yeah.
And then Mark Schiff gave me really one of my favorite lines of all time about the Portisan, which was never marry anyone that comes out of one of those and goes, it's not that bad in there.
The best. Equally as frustrating is when you have a great line for someone and it just doesn't fit. Like they can't do it,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And every time you hear it, you're like, it would work.
Nick DiPaolo, I think Nick DiPaolo gave me the greatest line I ever got from another comedian.
Really?
Which is about the number one fear of most people is speaking in front of a crowd. Number two is death in these massive surveys.
Yeah.
And Nick gave me, which means if you're going to a funeral, to the average person, you'd rather be in the casket than doing the eulogy. He
brilliant.
gave me that. That's as good as it gets.
He was a quick mind.
Yeah, he's right.
We do a thing on this program. We like the finer things of coffee and bread and such, but we also like the stuff you find in a gas station or a 7-Eleven, and we like to taste them on the program.
Oh, okay.
I know you're a fan of this kind of thing, Lena. If you can hand me the. I love when you always observe when a company starts going off the rails. you always call them the people, the Oreo people. Have you seen what the Cheez-It people are up to these days? And I thought this would be perfect for us. The Kit Kat people have lost their minds.
Oh.
They've got a pink lemonade, and they've got a chocolate frosted donut.
Oh.
What's the matter?
It's
Sad already?
Someone needs to tell these people, stop having meetings. Stop it. Just don't hire younger people that are full of ideas to help you. Just do what you're doing.
Just stick to the
okay,
original.
So this is
the chocolate frosted donut Kit Kat.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference?
It tastes just like a regular Kit Kat.
It's not as crunchy.
No. They probably haven't gone off the shelves too much.
I don't dislike it.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
It's very close. It has a little bit of a thing. This one I'm suspicious of. Pink lemonade.
No.
Immediately, right?
You're not in the refreshment business. People don't eat a Kit Kat for refreshment.
For a cool, cold glass of lemonade.
Yeah.
A cool, cold glass of lemonade.
That's a gross idea. No, that's gross.
That one doesn't work.
You Kit Kat people. It's not good enough. It's not good enough that you have been forcing this shit down our throat for decades. You got to make it worse. These people.
That was pretty rough.
Don't.
The Oreos. Have you seen what Oreos? There's 7,000 Oreos.
Yeah. Pop-Tart too.
Yep.
So gross.
Yeah. That was pretty awful. When you were talking about Gaffigan eating the steak late at night after the thing, I remember when we first went out and started touring, you were putting together the system of how we're going to do this. And wouldn't it be a great idea to have a pizza on the plane?
I remember that.
And we'll eat pizza on the way back.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
It was fun.
But it was we quickly realized,
oh,
we'll be fat or dead if you have a pizza after every show.
Believe it or not, I would say no more than 3 days ever goes by that I don't think about that.
Really?
That pizza Tom and I used to have on the way home on the plane. Gaffigan and I said to him once after we were doing a Chicago and then we were going to St. Louis right after the show.
Uh-huh.
This is my favorite story.
Yeah.
That's another new bit I have about people saying the opposite of everything.
Yeah.
It's like, have you ever heard a funny story after, oh, I have such a funny story? Never, one time. But I do love this story. So I said to Jim, I think we were doing 2 shows at the United Center in Chicago. How about that? We were kicking ass.
God.
And I said, after this, if we pull this off, I go, let's get a big pizza for the plane because I never stopped thinking about it. It was not hard to talk him into that.
No.
And he knows all the best food in every town.
Oh, God, yeah.
So he gets some crazy deep dish Chicago pizza and some Mr. Meat hero sandwiches that we had heard about. Mr. Beef.
Mr. Beef.
Leno's favorite Chicago place, Mr. Beef. So he gets like, I don't know. So I come off stage. He's standing there in the wing with the slice of pizza right in his mouth. I go, not the second we get off. Can't you wait till we at least get on the plane? It's like, oh, he says, oh, I didn't know. I thought you want it right after. That's how he eats. So we get to the airport.
Uh-huh.
You're going to love this. That's another part of that same bit. When people say, you'll love this, you won't.
You might like it.
Everything's the opposite. We get to the airport. All of a sudden, these cars pull up with lights flashing, people jumping out in like official-looking things with IDs and patches, and this like serious, very serious people are here doing something important. We don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And we have got a hand truck with pizzas and Mr. Beef heroes that we are wheeling across the tarmac. It turns out it was a medevac heart transplant that they were rushing to save someone's life. And the four of us, me and Jim, with our pizzas and Mr. Beefs, and the results of that diet right next to us with emergency doctors and surgeons and medical people wheeling a living human heart in a cooler right next to us. And we're looking at each other and we went, I know. You couldn't get a better argument against what we're doing than that.
Yeah.
But we're still going to eat it.
Still going to eat it. Totally forget.
Yeah. Tina Fey once said in the Comedians in Cars episode, she loves food. And I was asking her about some food, and then she said, food is the only great reward for anything.
Right. Oh, my God.
There's no greater reward for, any difficulty.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know. My wife and I were kind of like dialing it in and trying to be a little, lose a little, we'll do it as a team, and what other crazy idea you have. And then we both came into New York this weekend.
Right.
I was like, what else you going to do? We're together. We're in New York. I'm going to not eat.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat everything.
There's a bagel place I go to out in Long Island, and the guy wears a T-shirt that says "Bread till I'm dead."
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to get you some of my bread for sure.
I really want to try it.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? I've been seeing some stuff on Instagram lately about the superiority of the European bread making ingredients. I'm sure you know all about this.
Yeah.
Their bread's way better than ours, right?
I don't know.
No?
I think, maybe at a time it was, but there are a lot of great milleries that are cranking out like this artisanal flour and not, kind of not mass produced. And, even King Arthur's solid all-purpose flour. It's really the technique and how you're doing it.
What is the big ingredient that is banned in Europe that we use in our bread? I don't know the name of it.
I don't know.
There's something that...
Like for supermarket bread?
No, the bakery bread.
Oh.
The bread is better.
It's flour, water, salt, and yeast.
I know. It's something in the flour.
I don't know.
Jess, my wife, had a very funny line this morning. She went out to some restaurant last night, and she said, every New York restaurant should just be called Salty and Loud. That's all every upscale place in the city is.
Yeah, I was walking home last night after doing a set, and I'm watching these people in these structures, trying to do fine dining next to mountains of garbage. Just giant bags of garbage, rats smoking cigarettes on top. Oh, no, this is it's hard to get in here.
Rats smoking and rolling dice.
They'll be out of here by 10.
Oh, the rat problem is so easy to fix, Tommy.
Really?
Have you ever seen the posts about Turkey?
No.
You know what they do in Turkey?
No. Hair transplants?
No. All the cat. Nobody owns cats in Turkey.
Right.
They don't own them. But they live all over the city. That's filled with cats.
Really?
And everyone takes care of all the cats. They feed them. They pet them. They don't feed them. I'm sorry. They don't feed them.
They don't give them
They
milk?
don't give them anything. And guess what? There's no rats.
Really?
Yes, they don't have any rats in Turkey.
Oh, that's amazing.
Because the city's filled with cats.
It's so simple.
You don't even have to pay them. Just be nice to them. Just let them rub
so
up against your
simple.
leg once in a while.
Oh, my
and they'll
God.
do that for you. It's so simple.
What are we doing?
Just stop making cat food, and that's the end of rats.
Colin's obsessed with rats.
Yeah, he loves rats.
He really thought he nailed it. He said, if I'm mayor, I'm going to put sticky pads out on the entire avenue at night and let them catch them and then roll it up before everyone wakes up so they don't see
Brilliant.
it.
He is the smartest guy
He is so...
ever met. So the end of my sponge bit, which is, I have to say, I'm so in love with.
I love it already.
It's a soliloquy.
Yeah.
It is a dramatic soliloquy of the sponge saying to you, you need to buy 3 packs so that I don't have to die like this. And I had this great run. All the stuff was working. And the finish for it was a line about that he ends up in the garbage, in with the filth I've been trying to get rid of my whole life, the irony. And I'm a sponge, but even for me, that's a lot to absorb. And it used to get a great laugh, and then the laugh kind of twisted into a groan, and then it became, I can't finish on a pun. Absorb.
Right.
And Quinn said, you've got to move it into the middle of the piece, and then you can do it.
Right.
And I tried that this weekend, and he's right.
Yeah.
You can get away with something like that.
little punny.
A sponge saying, that's a lot to absorb, even for me.
Yeah. Because we're on the journey now.
And we go on,
Yeah.
but here's what I need you to do. So, that really impressed me, that little piece of technique that I didn't know.
Right.
He says, you can get away with it, but not at the end.
How great is that? Just the blessing of having a craft.
Mm-hmm.
Just that you can noodle around, like you can still go into the little watch shop and play around with these things, just as a person, to have that for your whole life. It is an amazing gift.
It is, but I think you and I would have been probably just as happy making cabinets or being plumbers. You and I would have loved to have spent all day with wood.
It's not totally
Right?
wrong.
Hammering, sanding, doing drawers, getting into the drawers just right. Isn't that that's to me what stand-up is?
Yeah, but
It's making a chest of drawers. I just want it to slide a certain way.
I opened for Rickles once.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like for a weekend in Montreal, and I just kept serving him up for abuse, like, Don, like, are you going to watch my whole set tonight? I mean, last night we were getting to know each other, but tonight you're going to watch the whole thing? Yeah, Tom, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And at the end, he called me into his dressing room, and he's in his little robe.
Yeah.
He's in his little slippers. He's drinking a martini, but he doesn't even make it anymore. It's just ice and vodka and olive. And he goes, and he held my hand. I'm next to him like a grandfather almost,
Yeah.
And he won't let go of my hand. And he goes, Tom, I watched your whole set tonight. Watched the whole thing from beginning to end. Have you thought about a career in food delivery? You bring food to people, you make them happy. You throw in a joke once in a while so you don't kill yourself. And that's what if we were making cabinets, you just throw a joke in once in a while.
Yeah,
But
right.
we probably would have been happy.
Right, yeah.
Right? Oh, all right. We have to wrap up.
Okay.
Uh,
I could do this every day,
I know.
right? It's what we do. Is this any different from any time we've ever spent together?
I know. Exactly. No.
But before we go,
Okay.
why do people listen to this crap?
You said in the beginning they're very thirsty for it.
No, they want to see a comedian perform. They want jokes. They want to laugh. What is this garbage?
This was one of the funniest conversations you would hear. You've put about 6 bits out. We came up with 4 more. This is a set. It's kind of a set.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, you don't show up on talk shows with nothing to say and just see how it goes.
No.
Right? Like when you go do the Today Show, when you were doing all your Unfrosteds
Yeah.
and making all the rounds,
Yeah.
you come in, you know you're going to be funny. Same on
Same
this.
with this.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that's why, yeah. You have to spell it out. You're one of the funniest people on the planet. You are one of our national characters. They want to tune in and see what you have to say.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you started just going off about, boring stuff, maybe.
Yeah, cardio.
But they know. Yeah, right. Yeah, they know what they're gonna get.
Yeah.
When you show up.
There's a difference between long, steady cardio and shut up. I saw Fran Lebowitz on Bill Maher the other night,
Oh yeah.
and he was doing the thing where he reads the audience's questions off the card,
Uh-huh.
and he said, "What have we learned?" And she just jumps in, "Nothing." What have we learned from nothing? Just the timing. She's so great. And here's
Yeah.
another Fran Lebowitz. It's not a Fran Lebowitz line, but I just want to get it on your show.
Uh-huh.
That she said, you know how she's, I love her. I've always loved her, but she's, one of the greatest defenders of New York living
Oh, God,
in the
yeah.
world. The greatest, let's say.
The greatest.
And she likes to quote John Updike, who, I'm also huge
Fan.
with, who was a Boston guy, not a New York guy. He lived in Boston his whole life.
Yeah, but he was a New Yorker. I mean,
He wrote for the New Yorker. I think he lived in New York a little bit. But anyway,
Yeah.
his line on Manhattan is, everybody in New York City thinks anybody that doesn't live in New York City is in some sense kidding.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
You're kidding, right? You live where?
Are you as happy as you thought you'd be when you came back and you're like, I remember you saying, I looked at how people live their life in LA as they get older, as they're becoming grown-ups, and they don't seem to be handling it great out there. But here in New York, people are. You saw like a path for a more elegant, graceful.
Yes, a
Way of
more
being.
graceful third act.
Yeah.
Um,
Is it holding?
oh, better than ever.
Yeah.
Better than ever.
Yeah.
I don't know how people live outside this city. I don't know how they do it.
Cynthia and I
Like
were
a rat in Turkey. You have no chance.
Cynthia and I were driving down to see the ballet in L.A. to the Sagerstrom Center. It's like down by Long Beach, and we're just going to see the ballet. We want to do something, and we're in traffic going down 2 hours past the LAX too long. And Cynthia goes, if we lived in New York, we'd take one train to Lincoln Center, and this would have been over.
Oh, she shouldn't have said that. And would have enjoyed it, the ballet.
Yeah.
Because there are people there that actually know what the hell they're looking at.
And it's funny because we both love New York, and we're in LA, and I'm just gripping the wheel. Like, I know.
There's a good laugh to get out of.
Yeah. Follow-up baseball question.
Yeah.
You got we love baseball Almost as much as comedy.
Almost as much.
Almost as much as comedy.
Yeah.
Curious, when you're watching the game at home, just in July, can you walk me through how you do it?
Well, I watch the whole game.
The whole game.
From the very beginning. I watch every WB Mason commercial.
You don't mute it?
My friend says, you can just record it 45 minutes into the game and zip through the commercials. I don't want to do that.
Right? You want all...
I want waste my time. I don't enjoy anything else. Anything. So I sit there. I do have my phone,
right,
that I look at from time to time.
Yeah.
But that's it. I just sit.
And just watch the whole thing.
Yeah, like a cat on the windowsill.
It's funny. I was watching the Yanks the other day, and they have this. I think it's a Geico commercial that comes on. And, no, it's a Postmates thing, and it's baseball. As you know, they have 4 advertisers, and they play those ads incessantly, nonstop. And my wife came through and was like, "Wow, they're playing this one again." And it really didn't occur to me that it was a problem until she said it out loud. I'm like,
right.
Yeah, now it's the commercial. Now it's the Postmates commercial, and we're coming back into the 6th.
The Geico lizard stuff. Do they even have an idea when they go on that set? Does anyone even have something on a notepad of any kind? Or just say whatever you want. Does anyone? Nah.
He'll be here between you two.
Yeah, he'll be here. How about this new thing of running through second base? Have you seen this thing that they discovered?
No.
Okay, bases loaded, 1 out. Okay?
Yeah.
Ground ball, double play opportunity to get out of the inning.
Oh.
And they're running through second base, harder to get the front end of the double play. He gets caught in the rundown, but the run scores because it's not a force out at first.
Oh, brilliant.
And they just discovered this.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
They can still discover
and everyone's
things about
doing
this
it now.
game.
Just run through second and let them tag you out after. And in the meantime, the runner from third will score. And which normally on a double play, the run from third doesn't count because of the force out at first.
Amazing.
Finding a little thing like that 150 years later.
So crazy.
Yeah.
What do you think of the extra innings starting on second?
Don't like it.
Hate it.
But we got to preserve these people as best we can.
Yeah.
Can we just do the 10th without the free runner and then do it? If we get through the 10th, and nobody wins, okay.
That would be good.
Bob Costas told me that.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Let's do that. Just have one real extra inning.
They don't do it in the playoffs, right?
No.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
You're going to a game right now?
No, I'm going to watch the game.
You're going to watch?
We have a deciding game in Atlanta today.
Oh, it's in Atlanta? Yeah. Oh, man, these 2 games.
Yeah, doubleheader.
Wow.
And they have to win 1 to get in the
Just
postseason.
1?
Just 1.
Oh, man, oh, man. Did you and Wallace do the thing where you're going to go do a ball game and then a set at night?
No.
He told me, I came up with the greatest. Tell me that there's a better day than this. We're going to go to 4 games
and I'll do a set after every game.
It's perfect, isn't it? And I'm in LA like, oh, I should move back. I could be doing that perfect thing.
Yeah.
No. You're the best.
So are you. Can't wait for our gigs.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, man.
All right.